Have you ever wondered why life stops flowing the moment you forget how to love yourself, yet begins to align the instant you finally love yourself first? Why happiness slips from your hands no matter how hard you try, yet returns effortlessly when you learn to love your own company, find joy within, and seek inner happiness instead of approval. Buddhism reveals a quiet truth. The world reflects the way you treat your own heart. And stay until the end. There's a bonus insight that will change everything you know about self-love. 1. Stop leaving yourself behind. What if the heaviness in your life isn't coming from the world, but from abandoning your own needs again and again? Sit with that for a moment. So often, you stretch yourself thin, chasing love, validation, or a sense of belonging. And yet you forget the one person whose presence matters the most, yourself. And as one quiet teaching says, the heart collapses when it is asked to live without itself. In Buddhist thought, suffering begins the moment you step away from your own center. When you try to please the world, you drift outward like a tree whose roots grow away from the soil, reaching desperately for sunlight instead of drawing strength from within. A tree like that cannot stand for long, and neither can you. For when you leave yourself behind, you become unanchored, pulled in every direction by expectation, fear, and noise. And yet, this is the modern condition. You pour into relationships that drain you. You say yes when your whole spirit whispers no. You wake up tired because you carry a life that doesn't feel like your own. It's no wonder everything feels heavy. You've been living everywhere except inside yourself. But here's the turning point. When you love yourself enough to stop abandoning your inner world, life begins to rearrange itself. Peace returns. Clarity sharpens. The world suddenly stops resisting you because you stop resisting yourself. Close your eyes for a moment and breathe. Imagine your energy returning from every place you gave too much, from every conversation where you betrayed your truth, from every moment you dimmed your light to keep the peace, from every step you took in someone else's direction instead of your own. Watch your energy circle back home, gathering into your chest, steady and warm. This is what self-love truly feels like. A homecoming, not a performance. Ask yourself gently, where have I abandoned myself lately? Whose approval is costing me my peace? What would choosing myself actually look like today? These questions open the doorway to transformation. Because the day you stop leaving yourself behind is the day life begins to fall into place. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, a person who loves themselves is never abandoned. Life bends to protect them. And so must you. Today, take responsibility for returning to your own heart. Build a strong, disciplined mindset rooted in calm and positive thought. And remember this line. Let it echo within you long after the video ends. When you finally love yourself, the world stops resisting you because you stop resisting yourself. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 2. You teach the world how to treat you. What if life has only ever mirrored the value you place on yourself? Sit with that truth quietly, as if holding a fragile lantern in your palms. So often, without noticing, you teach the world how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. And as the old saying goes, the universe repeats what you whisper to yourself. If your whispers are full of doubt, life echoes it. If they are full of respect, life reshapes itself around that respect. In Buddhist understanding, your inner world is the foundation of all outer experience. A cracked bowl leaks no matter how much water you pour into it. Your self-worth is that bowl. You can give endlessly, try endlessly, hope endlessly. But if you see yourself as small, unworthy, or secondary, the world responds in the same language. Life does not ignore the way you speak to your own heart. It simply reflects it back. Modern life makes this even more subtle. You stay quiet to avoid discomfort. You accept less than you deserve. You shrink so others can feel bigger. You remain where you are unappreciated, telling yourself it's kindness, when deep down it is fear wearing kindness as a mask. And slowly, the world learns. This is how you are willing to be treated. But here's the secret: no one teaches you early enough. The moment you raise the standard for your own heart, everything around you begins to shift. Take a calm breath. Picture your inner voice as a soft, steady light glowing inside your chest. Now notice where that light dims, around certain people, certain choices, certain conversations. With each slow inhale, brighten it. Let the light become a quiet declaration. I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve truth. This light is your boundary, your protection, your return to dignity. Reflect gently. What treatment do I silently allow? Where do I shrink so others can feel bigger? What boundary needs to exist by sunset today? These questions are gates to your inner transformation. Because loving yourself doesn't begin with grand gestures. It begins with a single boundary, spoken or unspoken, that says, "This is who I am, and this is how I choose to be treated." Buddhist wisdom often reminds us that self-love is not selfish. It is the blueprint from which all relationships form. When you honor your own worth, the world learns to honor you too. Carry this with you. When you strengthen your inner voice, life learns to listen. 3. Solitude is where you meet your real self. What if being alone isn't loneliness, but purification? Let that question settle softly inside you. In a world full of noise, people, expectations, and endless demands, solitude is often misunderstood. But Buddhist wisdom teaches that when the world becomes quiet, your soul finally has room to breathe. In silence, your true voice finally speaks. And perhaps that voice has been waiting for you for a very long time. Solitude is not an escape. It is a return. Like a lake settling after a storm, your mind also needs stillness. Only when the ripples calm do the waters become clear again. When you step away from distraction, from opinions, from comparison, from noise, your muddy thoughts finally sink, and the truth within you rises to the surface. You begin to meet yourself not as the world shaped you, but as you truly are. Yet today, solitude often feels uncomfortable. You scroll your phone to fill silence. You stay busy to avoid thinking. You keep company, not because it nourishes you, but because it distracts you from the parts of yourself you fear meeting. But here lies the turning point. The moment you stop running from your inner world, everything in your outer world begins to align. Life flows with more peace. Decisions become cleaner. Your heart becomes lighter. Self-love deepens effortlessly. Close your eyes gently. Imagine a quiet room where nothing pulls at you, nothing demands your energy, and nothing needs to be fixed. Just you, resting in your own presence. Feel how spacious you become when external pressures fall away. That spaciousness is your true nature. It's the part of you untouched by fear, comparison, or past wounds. It's the part of you that whispers the direction of your highest path. Ask yourself honestly, what part of me am I afraid to meet in silence? When did solitude last feel sacred? How can I create more empty space in my days? These questions are not demands. They are invitations, gently guiding you back to the sanctuary within. Buddhist teachings remind us that solitude is the birthplace of insight. When you sit with yourself, you no longer look outward for approval or identity. You rediscover your own strength, your own clarity, your own worth. Carry this truth with you today. When you return to your own silence, life finally begins to speak to you. 4. Approval is a cage made of gold. If the world praised you endlessly, would you finally feel whole? Or would a quiet part of you still whisper, "It's not enough"? Let that question open a small doorway inside your mind. Approval feels warm, comforting, almost golden. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that even gold can form a cage. Peace cannot depend on borrowed voices. For when your worth is shaped by what others think, you hand over the key to your own freedom. Approval is sweet, but it is unstable. One day you receive applause, the next day silence. One moment you are admired, the next moment forgotten. And if your peace depends on this shifting tide, your heart becomes a fragile thing, easily shaken, easily wounded. Like a bird fed by many hands, you forget how to fly on your own. Approval addiction numbs your inner wings until you no longer trust your natural strength. In the modern world, this trap is everywhere. You post something and wait for validation. You say things you don't truly believe just to avoid disapproval. You stay small because you fear someone's discomfort. Without noticing, you trade your authenticity for acceptance, your voice for belonging, your freedom for attention. But here lies your turning point. When you choose yourself over applause, life begins to align in ways that praise alone could never offer. Real self-love starts the moment you stop seeking permission to exist. Close your eyes gently. Picture yourself walking away from applause, stepping out of expectations, drifting beyond judgment. Ahead of you is a quiet, steady peace. The kind that doesn't rise and fall with opinions. The kind that holds you even when no one is watching. Listen to that silence. It is the sound of your true self returning. Reflect deeply. Whose opinion still controls my emotions? What would I do if no one was watching? Where can I choose authenticity over applause today? These questions are lanterns guiding you out of the golden cage. Because every time you choose truth over approval, your wings grow stronger. Buddhist teachings remind us that liberation comes through inner alignment, not outer validation. When you act from your heart instead of from fear, your life begins to flow in the direction of genuine peace. Carry this with you. When you stop chasing applause, you finally hear your own soul applauding you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 5. The inner critic is not your voice. What if the voice hurting you the most never belonged to you? Let that question echo gently inside your heart. So much of your suffering comes not from who you are, but from the thoughts you have inherited, the judgments, the comparisons, the harshness absorbed from others long before you knew how to protect yourself. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, not all thoughts are true, not all wounds are yours, and yet you carry them as if they define you. The inner critic grows from old conditioning. A parent's doubt, a teacher's comment, a stranger's ridicule, a moment of embarrassment. They all plant seeds. Over time, those seeds become a voice inside you, whispering that you're not enough, not capable, not worthy. But hear this clearly. The inner critic is not your voice. It is an echo. It is residue. It is history, not truth. Imagine inheriting a cracked mirror. Every reflection feels broken, not because you are broken, but because the mirror itself is. In the modern world, this inner critic grows louder. Social media fuels comparison. Busy schedules rob you of rest. Expectations make you feel constantly behind. And soon, your inner landscape becomes a battlefield. You begin to believe the noise, forgetting the quiet strength beneath it. But self-love begins the moment you stop confusing old wounds for your identity. When you challenge the inner critic, you reclaim your power. Take a slow breath. Visualize a dusty mirror inside your mind, old, smudged, distorted. Now imagine gently wiping the dust away. With each breath, the fog clears. Slowly, your real reflection appears, softer, kinder, stronger than you remembered. This is your true self, the one untouched by criticism, comparison, or fear. Feel how liberating it is to see yourself as you truly are. Reflect with honesty. Who first taught me to doubt myself? What would I be without that voice? Can I speak to myself with tenderness today? Each question is a step back toward your own heart. Because when you question the inner critic, you weaken it. When you respond with compassion, you silence it. Buddhist teachings remind us that the mind can become either a prison or a path to freedom. When you stop identifying with hurtful thoughts, they lose their power. What remains is clarity, confidence, and the gentle truth of your own worth. Carry this forward. The voice you choose to believe becomes the life you choose to live. 6. Choose what honors your energy. What if self-love is simply choosing what strengthens your soul instead of what drains it? Let that question rest gently inside you, like a soft bell ringing in the distance. So much of your suffering comes not from fate, but from choices. Choices about where you place your time, your attention, your heart. Buddhist wisdom whispers, every decision either feeds your spirit or starves it. And when you look closely, you will see that your peace has always depended on what you choose to honor and what you choose to release. Your energy is precious. It is like incense. Once burned, it cannot return. Each day, you burn a little of it on people, tasks, responsibilities, emotions, and worries. But are you burning it on what truly matters? Or are you offering your inner incense to things that exhaust your mind, burden your heart, and dim your light? When you love yourself deeply, you stop pouring your energy into dead ends. You stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. You stop abandoning your spirit to keep the world satisfied. In the modern world, energy drains hide everywhere. A conversation that leaves you anxious. A habit that steals your clarity. A relationship that takes more than it gives. A thought pattern that tightens your chest. But here lies your turning point. Self-love is not just softness, it is discernment. It is learning to walk away from what weakens you and toward what strengthens your soul. When you choose what honors your energy, life begins to realign around your truth. Decisions become clearer. Boundaries become natural. Peace becomes your default, not your reward. Take a slow breath. Visualize your energy as a glowing golden mist around your body. Notice where it brightens around certain people, certain practices, certain choices. Notice where it darkens or thins around pressures, fears, attachments, and environments that no longer serve who you are becoming. With each breath, imagine strengthening the golden mist, reinforcing it with love and intention. This is how you claim your power without fighting anything outside yourself. Reflect softly. What drains me repeatedly? What energizes me instantly? What must I stop tolerating? These questions are not confrontations. They are invitations to return to your own center. Every time you choose what honors your energy, you rewrite your future. Buddhist teachings remind us that peace is the natural outcome of wise choices. When you honor your energy, you honor your life. When you honor your life, the universe responds in kind. Carry this truth with you. Your spirit grows strong the moment you stop feeding what weakens you. 7. Let go of the people you keep shrinking for. Why do we betray our worth just to keep the wrong people comfortable? Let this question settle in your chest, like a gentle truth rising to the surface. So many times, you have lowered your voice, your needs, your dreams, not because you lacked strength, but because you feared losing someone who was already costing you pieces of yourself. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, a heart that keeps shrinking will one day disappear. Self-love begins the moment you refuse to vanish for anyone. Some people do not ask you directly to shrink, but your spirit feels it. In their criticism, their expectations, their silence when you succeed. You become like a candle caught between two winds. One wind calls you to shine brighter, to grow, to rise. The other pushes against you, demanding your flame soften, dim, or extinguish entirely. But a candle cannot serve both winds. If you keep choosing the one that weakens you, you burn out long before your time. In the modern world, shrinking becomes a quiet habit. You laugh less around certain people. You hide your talents to avoid jealousy. You silence your opinions to avoid conflict. You tolerate disrespect disguised as love. And slowly, you forget who you were before you learned to fold yourself this small. But here lies your turning point. When you stop shrinking, you return to your true size. And everything in your life begins to rearrange itself around your worth. Close your eyes softly. See yourself taking one slow step back from someone who takes too much. Someone whose presence drains instead of nourishes. Feel the space returning around your body. Feel yourself becoming taller again, as though your soul finally has room to stretch, breathe, and rise. There is power in reclaiming the space you were always meant to fill. Reflect with kindness. Where have I made myself smaller? What relationship asks me to dim my light? What happens if I stop shrinking? These questions are gateways to liberation, because holding on to people who diminish you only delays the life that is waiting to lift you. When you choose your growth over someone's comfort, you honor your destiny. Buddhist teachings remind us that love should expand you, not confine you. True connection never demands your disappearance. Carry this truth with you. When you stop shrinking for others, you finally grow into the person you were meant to be. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 8. The peace you seek comes from the choices you avoid. Could peace be waiting behind the uncomfortable decision you keep postponing? Let that question rest gently in your heart, like a quiet bell reminding you of something you've long ignored. Buddhist wisdom whispers, avoidance is the fertile ground where suffering grows. So often, the very thing you fear facing is the doorway to the calm, grounded life you've been praying for. Yet you delay, hoping the discomfort will dissolve on its own. But avoidance does not dissolve pain, it deepens it. Avoiding a truth is like hiding a wound under cloth. It may feel protected for a moment, but in the darkness, it festers. Healing begins only when the light is allowed to reach it. In the same way, every avoided conversation, every unsaid boundary, every postponed decision quietly drains your energy. You may tell yourself you're keeping peace, but inside, your spirit is whispering the opposite. Peace cannot grow where truth is being suffocated. In modern life, avoidance disguises itself as busyness, distraction, or patience. You stay in situations that hurt you because you fear change. You hold back your truth because you fear conflict. You avoid decisions because you fear the unknown. And slowly, your inner world becomes cluttered with unresolved emotions, resentment, anxiety, guilt, tension. But here lies your moment of transformation. When you choose the difficult path of honesty, your life begins to realign around genuine tranquility. Self-love is not just soothing yourself. It is guiding yourself through discomfort toward freedom. Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize a wound on your heart covered by a cloth. Then gently imagine pulling the cloth back. Light pours in, soft, warm, healing. Watch the wound begin to breathe again. This is what happens the moment you stop avoiding truth. Healing does not begin with perfection. It begins with courage. One small, honest choice can restore a lifetime of stolen peace. Now reflect with sincerity. What truth am I avoiding? What boundary must I finally speak? What decision restores my peace immediately? These questions may feel heavy, but they lead to liberation. The peace you seek isn't missing. It is waiting behind the choice you haven't made yet. Buddhist teachings remind us that clarity comes not through escape, but through presence. When you face what you fear, you reclaim your power. When you speak what is true, you reclaim your voice. Carry this with you. The life you want is on the other side of the choice you avoid. 9. Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier. How long will you punish yourself for a version of you who didn't know better yet? Let this question move gently through you. Every human journey is marked with moments of confusion, innocent mistakes, and choices made before wisdom arrived. Yet you hold your own throat with blame, tightening your spirit until it cannot breathe. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, a heart cannot bloom while holding its own throat. Self-love begins when you loosen your grip and allow yourself to grow again. Think of how nature forgives itself. Imagine a flower refusing to open because it remembers last winter, remembering the cold, the darkness, the storms. But spring still arrives, and the flower opens, not because the past was erased, but because it no longer defines the present. In the same way, your past mistakes were simply winters of your soul. They shaped you, taught you, humbled you, and now they are meant to be released. Self-forgiveness is not an escape, it is an awakening. In the modern world, self-blame becomes an invisible burden. You replay old decisions. You criticize who you used to be. You hold yourself hostage for choices made with a smaller heart, a frightened mind, or a wounded spirit. But here lies the turning point. The moment you forgive yourself, life begins to open again. Possibility returns. Confidence returns. Compassion returns. You stop living as a prisoner of your history and start living as the author of your future. Take a slow, deep breath. Visualize your hands gripping a tight rope, your mistakes, your regrets, your self-judgments. Now imagine gently releasing the rope. Feel the tension fall away, like a heavy weight leaving your chest. This is what forgiveness feels like. Not erasing the past, but releasing the pain you attach to it. In that softness, your heart becomes capable of blooming again. Reflect honestly. What mistake am I still holding against myself? What lesson did it quietly give me? Can I allow myself to bloom again? These questions invite you to meet your past self with understanding instead of punishment. They remind you that regret is not meant to trap you. It is meant to guide you. Buddhist teachings remind us that every moment is a chance to begin again. The past has already done its work. Now it is time to honor who you are becoming. Carry this truth forward. You deserve to bloom not because you were perfect, but because you finally choose to forgive the one who was learning. 10. Align your life with who you actually are. What if your suffering comes from living a life that no longer fits your spirit? Let this question settle over you like dusk light over a quiet monastery. So much of our pain does not come from failure, but from misalignment, from bending ourselves into shapes that were never meant to hold us. Buddhist wisdom teaches, misalignment is the silent thief of joy. It steals quietly, it steals slowly, and often it steals without you realizing it, until one day you wake up feeling disconnected from your own life. Imagine a river burst into a narrow pipe. Its strength weakens, its movement loses grace, its nature is constrained. And yet the river was never meant to fit inside walls. It was meant to flow freely, shaping its own path, carving valleys, beating forests, nourishing life. In the same way, your spirit begins to weaken when it is squeezed into expectations, roles, and choices that do not reflect who you truly are. You are not meant to shrink to fit a life that has outgrown you. In the modern world, misalignment appears in subtle forms. The job that feels heavy every morning, the relationships where you cannot breathe fully, the habits that no longer match your values, the dreams you postpone because they seem too bold or too different. You keep forcing yourself because it feels familiar. But familiarity is not the same as truth. And a life lived out of alignment becomes a slow, quiet suffering that echoes through the heart. Now take a breath and visualize your life as a river. Notice where its flow is blocked. Notice where it has been redirected by others' expectations. Notice where it has been confined by fear, comfort, or old stories you no longer believe. See how the water still wants to move, still wants to find its natural direction. That direction is your truth, a life that feels like you. Reflect gently. Where am I forcing myself? What feels unnatural but familiar? What does my true path actually look like? These questions aren't meant to bring pressure. They're meant to bring clarity. The moment you recognize misalignment, you've already begun to heal. And here lies the turning point. When you love yourself enough, you stop living a life that shrinks you, and you choose one that reflects you. You let the river widen again. You let your spirit breathe. You let your truth guide your steps. When you align your life with who you actually are, everything begins to flow again. Not because the world changes, but because you finally stop resisting your own nature. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My self-worth attracts more." 11. Build the habits that prove you matter. What if self-love is not a feeling, but evidence? Let this question rise within you, like the soft glow of a lantern at dusk. So often, we wait to feel worthy before we act like we are. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us, you believe in yourself only when your actions believe in you. Self-love is not an emotion floating in the mind. It is a structure you build with your choices, one quiet moment at a time. Think of a temple. No great sanctuary appears overnight. It is built one stone at a time, each stone placed with intention, patience, and devotion. Your self-respect is no different. Every habit you form is a stone. Some stones strengthen your foundation, while others weaken it. Some habits whisper, You matter, while others quietly tell you the opposite. The question is simple. Which temple are you building? In daily life, this truth shows itself clearly. When you repeatedly sacrifice your sleep, your boundaries, your dreams, or your peace, you send a message inward. I do not matter enough to protect myself. And when you choose small habits that nourish you, a 5-minute meditation, a gentle walk, a truthful boundary, a moment of silence instead of self-criticism, you send a different message. I am worth showing up for. These tiny acts become the architecture of your self-worth. Now close your eyes for a moment and visualize yourself placing one sacred stone each day. A stone for rest, a stone for honesty, a stone for choosing people who value you, a stone for speaking kindly to yourself. Notice how the temple slowly rises, steady and unshakable. This is the evidence of love, not grand gestures, but daily devotion. Reflect gently. Which habit dishonors me most? What tiny habit would restore my dignity? What is one action that proves I matter today? These questions are not meant to make you feel guilty. They are invitations to remember your power. Because when you love yourself enough, you no longer wait to feel worthy. You behave in ways that make worthiness undeniable. You stop abandoning yourself. You stop delaying your healing. You stop treating your life as something optional. And slowly, beautifully, the world around you begins to shift. Not because it suddenly becomes kinder, but because you finally become someone who acts like they deserve kindness. Build the habits that prove you matter, and everything else in your life will start falling into place. Bonus lesson. Let life flow toward the you who loves themselves. What if everything falling into place isn't magic at all, but simply life responding to the version of you who finally chooses alignment? Sit with that for a moment, like a monk resting beneath a quiet banyan tree at dusk. Buddhist wisdom teaches, life arranges itself around inner truth. When your heart is clear, your path becomes clear. When you honor yourself, the world begins to honor you back. Not because it suddenly changes, but because you do. Think of a compass. No matter how long it has been lost, the moment it remembers north, every direction becomes understandable again. Your heart works the same way. When you love yourself enough to return to your inner north, your truth, your worth, your boundaries, your peace, life no longer feels like a maze. Choices become simpler. People become clearer. What belongs to you quietly gravitates toward you, and what doesn't slowly drifts away. Let yourself visualize this. Imagine your heart glowing softly, like a compass illuminated at dawn. With every breath, feel it becoming brighter, warmer, steadier. See the world around you. Opportunities, relationships, habits, paths, shifting, rotating, aligning themselves around this inner light. Nothing forced, nothing chased, just a gentle pull. A natural rearrangement that happens when you become someone life can finally flow toward. This is the hidden truth. Self-love is not a destination, it is a signal. And life listens to signals more than wishes. When you resist yourself, life becomes heavy. When you abandon yourself, life becomes confusing. But when you return to yourself, fully, gently, bravely, everything that matches your true nature begins to arrive without strain. Pause now and reflect softly. What would my life look like if I fully loved myself? What becomes easier when I stop resisting who I am? What am I finally ready to attract now that I am aligned? These are not questions for the mind alone. They are invitations for the soul. Because the moment you love yourself enough, You no longer chase alignment. You become aligned. And life, like a river recognizing its path, begins to flow in your favor. Obstacles loosen. Decisions simplify. Peace becomes your natural breath. Let life flow toward the you who loves themselves. That version of you is the one the universe has been waiting to arrange everything around. Quick summaries of each principle. Stop leaving yourself behind. Life becomes heavy the moment you betray your own needs for others. Choosing yourself first restores inner balance and emotional clarity. Self-love begins the moment you stop abandoning your own heart. You teach the world how to treat you. Your inner belief about your worth shapes your outer experiences. People respond to the value you silently place on yourself. Raise your standards and life rises with you. Solitude is where you meet your real self. Time alone uncovers your real identity beneath noise and expectations. Solitude resets your energy and strengthens inner peace. Being comfortable with yourself is the foundation of self-love. Approval is a cage made of gold. Depending on others for validation keeps your peace unstable. Freedom begins when you value inner truth over external praise. Self-love grows when your choices stop being controlled by opinions. The inner critic is not your voice. Most self-doubt is inherited from past wounds, not your true self. Silencing the inner critic clears space for growth and confidence. Self-love emerges when your inner voice becomes kinder. Choose what honors your energy. Your life transforms when you stop entertaining what drains you. Self-love is choosing what nourishes your spirit consistently. Protect your energy as you would protect something sacred. Let go of the people you keep shrinking. You cannot grow around people who require you to stay small. Releasing such relationships restores strength and self-respect. Self-love means refusing to shrink for anyone's comfort. Peace comes from the choices you avoid. Avoiding hard decisions prolongs suffering and emotional chaos. True peace appears after you face what you fear. Courage is the doorway through which self-love enters. Forgive yourself for not knowing earlier. You deserve compassion for who you were before you learned better. Self-forgiveness frees emotional weight and opens inner space. Healing begins when you stop punishing yourself for the past. Align your life with who you actually are. Misalignment creates silent stress and emotional exhaustion. Life feels lighter when you follow your authentic direction. Self-love is living in a way that reflects who you truly are. Build the habits that prove you matter. Self-respect grows from daily actions that honor your worth. Small, consistent habits are stronger than fleeting motivation. Your behavior must demonstrate the love you claim for yourself. Let life flow toward the you who loves themselves. Alignment naturally attracts the experiences meant for you. Life responds differently when your heart is no longer in conflict. When you fully love yourself, everything falling into place becomes inevitable. Loving yourself is not a luxury. It is the quiet foundation of a peaceful life. When you finally stop chasing validation, stop shrinking to fit, and stop apologizing for your existence, your spirit begins to breathe again. The world feels less threatening. Your choices feel clearer, and life stops being a battlefield. You become grounded, steady, calm, not because circumstances changed, but because you did. In the stillness of your own acceptance, you discover the truth. Nothing in life feels right until you feel right within. Remember this timeless wisdom. When the heart returns to itself, the world returns to harmony. Self-love is not self-indulgence. It is self-liberation. It is the act of ending the war within, so life can finally move in your favor. As you walk away from self-abandonment and towards self-respect, watch how relationships shift, opportunities soften open, and inner peace becomes your natural state. Let this teaching settle in your heart today. Life aligns effortlessly for the person who is aligned with themselves. Like and share this video. Share your opinion in the comment box.